It happened 11 years ago. I was 27 then and she was around 30. We've DJTMD'd been living together for 8 years and had a 2-year-old son. Now I'm 38 and my wife Lisa is 41. We've JTMV been married for 11 years, together for 19, and we have 2 more kids, an 8-year-old boy and a 6-year-old girl. My English might not be perfect, so bear with me. Those first 8 years with Lisa had their ups and downs, but we stuck together. Before I met her, I came from a relationship where my ex cheated on me, making it hard for me to trust again. Lisa had a boyfriend for a month when we met, but she left to work in my area right after accepting him. She claimed there was no connection between them. Interestingly, she accepted me while still not ending it with him. Eventually, she went back and ended it because of me. Trusting her was hard, but I gave her all my trust, especially when we had a child together. I felt secure in her loyalty as she seemed devoted to our family. The problems began when she decided to work again. I quit my job to finish my last year of college. We agreed my mother would care for our son, who lived a bit far, so we traveled a day to reach her place. We stayed with her for a month and then returned. Everything was good. She worked, and I studied. After 6 months, we decided to get our son back. I went alone since Lisa was working, staying at my mother VJTM's for 3 weeks. Lisa was alone in our apartment. While I was away, we called and texted each other daily. Nothing seemed unusual. When I returned with our son, Lisa seemed sweeter and more active in bed. I thought she just missed me. A month later, I heard her phone beep. Out of curiosity, I checked it and saw a message from a coworker. She texted back, "VDJNJ, stop texting me here. My live-in partner might read it." DJKJJ, my knees shook. My chest felt hollow. I couldn't breathe. She hurried over, trying to snatch the phone, but I kept it away. I asked who the guy was. She claimed he was nobody and needed to go to her sister VJTM's house to get her hair done for the company Christmas party. I told her she couldn't DATM to take her phone. I replied to the message, and surprisingly, it was the girlfriend of the guy Lisa was texting. She said she suspected her partner and Lisa might be having an affair. We agreed to meet so I could see the messages myself. I took my son to Lisa of DJTM's sister VJTM's house, where Lisa was getting her hair done. I told her I was meeting someone and that she had explaining to do when I got back. Meeting the guy of DJTM's girlfriend, she showed me the text between him and Lisa. She also told me about a night he didn't VDJTM come home, seen with Lisa drinking and dancing. They looked more than friends and later disappeared together. This happened during the 3 weeks I was away. She confronted Lisa at work, but Lisa said nothing happened, claiming they were just friends and he gave her a ride home. I thanked the girlfriend and went home to confront Lisa that evening. It was emotional. Lisa kept insisting nothing happened. I felt hurt and angry, thinking of leaving, but we didn't attempt to separate for our son VJTM's sake. Lisa insisted the guy just dropped her at the gate and left. I knew there was more, but decided to accept it and move on. I forced myself to forget about it. Around that time, I got sick and needed her by my side. She stayed at her job for another year before resigning, assuring me she never spoke to him again after that incident. I believed her, having access to all her devices during that time, and she stopped going out drinking with workmates. 2 years later, I heard the guy died in a motorcycle accident. Lisa showed no signs of being affected. She got pregnant again, we married, and everything seemed normal. Sometimes during fights, I VJTM to bring up the issue with her now-dead AP to get the upper hand. Chevy JTM to get defensive and tell me to let him rest in peace. A year later, she got pregnant with our youngest. Everything ran smoothly until almost a month ago when we had a fight. I brought up the topic again. She got mad, asking when IVDATM'd stop. I felt something was off and pushed further. I lied, saying someone saw them arrive at our apartment and he stayed till morning. Her reaction told me she was hiding more. When I told her someone saw them arrive at our apartment and that the guy stayed until morning, Lisa looked taken aback and immediately asked who told me that. I lied again, saying it was a new friend in the neighborhood she didn't know. She got defensive, admitting she let him inside but only to get a glass of water. Noticing the change in her story, I knew I had her cornered. I asked how long he stayed, and she said just a couple of minutes. I told her she was lying, repeating that my friend said the motorcycle was parked until morning. Now she was hyperventilating. I asked her again if they did it that night, and she denied it. Lisa confessed they kissed and did some fondling while embracing because she was drunk, but that was it. I asked again if they had sex, and she told me he tried to, but she refused because she thought about me. She was about to cry, insisting that nothing really happened. But I wasn't satisfied. We went in circles, and she kept denying it. Then I had an idea. I told her I believed her and accepted what she was saying was true. But I told her that if she was still lying, she was making me the most miserable man in the world. I told her that God knows my pain and how she lied to me. If she still had any respect and love for me, she would be hurt too by lying to my face in my most vulnerable state. I teared up a little, and she looked me straight in the eyes. I added that if there was still anything to confess, she should do it now. I promised to forgive her if she just laid it all out. Then she cried and finally confessed that they did have sex. She allowed him to do it to her on our sofa. I asked how long it lasted, and she told me only about 3 to 5 minutes. He didn't finish because she realized what was happening, came to her senses, then kicked him off and started crying. She told him to leave, and he did. She cried and took the longest shower of her life, feeling dirty and like she was about to lose her mind. She said he took advantage of her even though she initially refused by kissing and fondling her. He told her I was far away and no one would know if no one told, and that he wouldn't make her pregnant. He became more aggressive, and she felt fear about what he might do if she kept refusing. She didn't know why she gave in, but felt it was better to let him do it and get it over with. She shut him out of her mind and thought of me. She said she didn't feel anything when he was doing it because he was really small and uncircumcised. She felt numb due to the alcohol. That woke me up a little. She just told me she shut him out and thought about me the whole time. But when she realized he wasn't finishing, she kicked him off. Hearing all these details from her turned my world upside down, but I kept my promise to forgive her. We decided to stop the conversation and went to bed. I told her not to worry, but my head was spinning. She told me she feared her confession had changed the way I looked at her, and that I would leave her. I reassured her, saying not to worry about anything right now. We would face this step by step, but my mind was about to explode with a whirlwind of thoughts and emotions. She then proceeded to arouse me, and we had sex that night. But she did all the work. I didn't sleep well that night, my mind racing with doubts and fears. The following morning, I found it impossible to shake off the lingering effects of her revelation. Every time I looked at her, the image of her betrayal resurfaced, gnawing at my peace. After much contemplation, I decided to confront her again, hoping for more clarity and perhaps some solace. However, Lisa stuck to her original story that he didn't finish, repeatedly saying sorry for what she did. She was willing to do anything for me to forgive her and not leave her. Her desperation was palpable, and she poured her heart out, telling me how she had been suffering all those years. She lied to me about it. She had developed severe anxiety and depression because the guilt was eating her from the inside. She explained that the reason she lied for 11 years was because she didn't want to hurt me or see our family destroyed, fearing the impact it would have on our kids. She knew how deeply she had disrespected and destroyed my trust when she let him into our place and did what they did. She regretted every moment of it, insisting it was just a mistake, something she didn't plan. According to her, he had taken advantage of her weakness that night. She reassured me that she didn't love him, emphasizing that it was a pure mistake. Lisa even confessed that she had wanted to tell her sister about it and considered reporting him because she felt scared and forced. However, she decided against it out of fear that I would find out. I listened to her intently, trying to process everything she said. Despite her tears and apologies, I found it increasingly hard to believe her completely. The trust that once formed the foundation of our relationship now felt irreparably cracked, leaving me in a state of constant doubt and suspicion. Days turned into weeks. And though Lisa continued to express her remorse and sought ways to make amends, the weight of her confession hung heavily over our lives. I struggled to reconcile the woman I thought I knew with the one who had betrayed me. My mind oscillated between moments of sympathy for her anguish and bouts of anger for the deception. The road to forgiveness seemed long and uncertain, with every step forward shadowed by the haunting memories of that night. I asked her if it was impossible that she didn't have any feelings for him. She told me they were always together at work due to their tasks, and he showed her interest by always giving her food and asking if she had eaten. She confessed that maybe she had a little feeling for him, but not enough to say she loved him. She just liked the attention and company he provided. She did not love him at all. Almost a month since D-Day, we were doing okay for the kids and decided to keep things the same, but I told her I was still deciding what would happen and that I hadn't forgiven her yet. I had promised to forgive her if she confessed, but I couldn't. I told her I was only human and thought it would be easy, but I realized I couldn't forgive her yet. We had a sharing therapy every night before sleeping where we gave each other time to speak and share our thoughts without interruption. One would just listen the whole time, and then we would sleep. The next night, the other would share their reflections on the thoughts from the previous night. The absolute rule was to be completely honest and share what we felt. This helped a lot because I asked her to give me a timeline of their interactions, and I just listened. She shared everything she could remember: the lunch dates, the conversations, the things he shared with her, and more. She even shared that he had asked her to leave me and be with him. I also shared my thoughts and feelings about the things she shared. This helped me because there were details that were uncovered that hadn't been shared on D-Day. I experienced deep hurt episodes where I felt very angry, and my mind was stuck on the details she shared that night. But I was also relieved that it brought light to what happened. I no longer imagined things and knew the details. I made sure she showed all about it when I experienced deep hurt episodes, and she was very supportive. I am now starting to accept her little by little. She agreed to all my conditions and followed everything I wanted to do to make things better between us. I thought her pride and ego would get in the way, but she endured it. She said the only thing she wouldn't be able to take is if I found another woman and developed feelings for her. Right now, there are still ups and downs, but I no longer mind staying with her. I learned to look at her again, but the pain still comes when I think about what happened that night. Is this normal? Even though the AP has been dead for a long time, I still feel jealous and hurt because of him. It still hurts when I watch videos and see positions similar to what my wife and her AP did that night. Is there still a chance for me to fully forgive her eventually for all the things she did? Does she still deserve a second chance? Thank you. I'll appreciate all your comments and thoughts. Despite the turmoil and confusion, we persisted in our nightly sharing sessions, which became a sanctuary for our emotions. Each night, I would brace myself for the waves of pain and anger, but also for the flickers of understanding and connection that began to emerge. It was during these sessions that I realized the depth of my own vulnerability as well as the resilience of our bond. We discussed not only the affair, but also our hopes, dreams, and fears, laying bare the foundations of our relationship in a way we never had before. I found myself grappling with a profound sense of loss, not just of the trust and security I once felt, but of the version of Lisa I thought I knew. She too mourned the person she had been before her mistake and expressed genuine remorse for the hurt she caused. Her willingness to face my anger and sadness head-on without defensiveness began to chip away at the wall I had built around my heart. We started to rebuild our relationship brick by brick, acknowledging that it would never be the same as before, but hoping it could be something new and stronger. Lisa took proactive steps to rebuild trust, from sharing her phone and social media accounts to voluntarily checking in with me throughout the day. Her actions spoke volumes about her commitment to repairing our marriage, and slowly I began to see glimpses of the love and partnership we once had. The journey was far from easy, and there were days when the weight of the betrayal seemed unbearable. Yet amid the pain, there were also moments of unexpected joy and connection. We found solace in small gestures, holding hands during a movie, cooking dinner together, laughing at a shared joke. These moments reminded me of why I fell in love with her in the first place and gave me hope that we could forge a new path forward. Forgiveness remained an elusive goal, one that I wasn't sure I would ever fully achieve. But I came to understand that forgiveness was not a destination but a process, a series of choices to let go of the anger and resentment little by little. I realized that healing would take time and that it was okay to have setbacks along the way. What mattered was our commitment to keep moving forward together. In the end, I recognized that whether or not Lisa deserved a second chance was not for anyone else to decide. It was a deeply personal choice, one that depended on our unique circumstances and the depth of our love for each other. What I did know was that she was making every effort to prove her sincerity and to rebuild the trust she had shattered, and for now, that was enough for me to keep trying. As I continued to navigate the complexities of our relationship, I held on to the hope that with time and patience, we could emerge from this crisis stronger and more united than ever before. Update 1. This is just an update regarding my previous post. Once again, I appreciate all your comments and suggestions. Be warned that this is also a long post and English is my second language, so please bear with me. We are still working to reconcile, and I can say that time does really play a huge factor in dealing with all of this. I decided to stay and give it another chance, but with some changes in terms of our setup. We agreed that I have one pass to have another relationship, and I can use this pass anytime I want, especially if I see that she is not serious about this reconciliation. The only condition is that she needs to know about it. She is now open with all her devices and will let me know if someone is trying to hit on her at work or anywhere in any way so that we can fix it early. She will need to avoid any issues or involvement related to infidelity or even having me suspect her of something at all costs because she only has a second chance and no option for a third. She is always doing her best to help in our reconciliation, and I can say that she is very remorseful and regrets the mistake she made in our relationship. We continue to live as normally as possible with our kids, but I still have deep hurt episodes every time I remember. It's not as difficult to handle anymore compared to the days just after D-Day, but I still let her know how I feel and how she destroyed my trust. I made her do some things to help me and us cope with all of this, and she has no complaints except for one thing. We are the only ones who know about our problem. Nobody else from her side of the family or mine knows. I believe the root cause of her cheating on me is her selfishness, and I want to test her by making her do something that I believe she fears the most. As a selfish person, based on what I know of her, she values her reputation a lot with our friends and family. She doesn't want her reputation to be tainted or destroyed. To test her, I asked her to confess her infidelity to both our parents only, and to ask them to keep all of this just between us. We will also ask for their advice regarding our reconciliation. I decided to let her confess to our parents only and not to other members of our families and friends, because her reaction to this test was very genuine. The horror in her eyes, realizing that both our parents would know about her mistake, was very real. This is the most difficult thing I've asked of her. According to her, she is trying to ask me to give her another test, wanting us to keep this a secret and deal with it on our own. But I insisted that I needed to see her prove that this is still worth it by doing this. I told her that since I considered her selfishness the main enemy, I wanted us to beat it by making her do the ultimate sacrifice for me, her reputation to our parents. It should be our whole family and friends, but I decided to make her confess to both our parents to save her dignity with others. Since we are reconciling and she is the mother of my children, I need her to prove to me one thing. If she can make this ultimate sacrifice, which she considers the ultimate sacrifice, she eventually agreed and just asked me to give her a little time to confess, to her parents first. Then, once done, she will also do the same with mine. I told her that once she did this, I would consider it a victory, and that it would help a lot in our reconciliation. I told her that once she did this, I would lose my past to have another relationship and would just focus on her again. I would be her partner in everything, and we would move on from this mess. She made only one thing clear to her. I can forgive her, but I will never forgive what she did because cheating in any form is unforgivable and unacceptable in any relationship. I just want to know, for those of you who decided to reconcile and did it successfully, what is the best test you think is necessary to prove that your marriage is still worth another chance? I considered a lot of things, like our kids, our life together for 19 years, though more than half of it she lied to me and my feelings towards her. I believe that she is remorseful and regretted her mistake 11 years ago, and that she devoted her life to me and our family after that. All my kids are mine, according to DNA results, and we are negative for any STDs. Though she lied for 11 years, I believe she only did it to keep our family whole. It sucks being cheated on and lied to, but as I mentioned at the start of this post, time really does play a big factor in how you deal with things. Life is a lot bigger than focusing only on the negative side of things. I believe that we will always encounter failures, and starting new is not always the best option for everyone. My heart goes out to all those betrayed spouses like me, especially male spouses. I know your pain, and I want you to know it's okay to cry. I hope we all find the peace we are looking for and be able to give our love and trust again. In the meantime, we are continuing our reconciliation efforts. We attend couples therapy weekly, and she also goes to individual therapy sessions to address her underlying issues. We've established a new set of boundaries and agreements to rebuild trust and ensure transparency. These include regular check-ins, sharing daily schedules, and engaging in open and honest communication about our feelings and concerns. Additionally, we have both committed to spending more quality time together as a family and as a couple. We plan regular date nights and family outings to strengthen our bond and create positive memories. I have also started engaging in activities that bring me joy and help me manage stress, such as exercise, hobbies, and spending time with close friends who support me. I want to emphasize that this journey of reconciliation is not easy, and there are still moments of doubt and pain. However, I'm trying to focus on the progress we have made and the potential for a healthier, more honest relationship moving forward. I am cautiously optimistic, but remain vigilant and mindful of the past. It's a delicate balance between guarding my heart and allowing myself to trust and love again. Lastly, I want to extend my gratitude to this community for the support, advice, and encouragement you have provided. It has been invaluable during this challenging time, and I hope to continue sharing updates on our progress. For anyone else going through similar struggles, remember that you are not alone, and seeking support from others can make a significant difference in your healing journey. Thank you again for being there, and I wish everyone the best in their own paths toward recovery and reconciliation. Update 2. More than 3 months after D-Day, Lisa has already confessed to both our parents. They were both very disappointed in her, but it's obvious that they both want us to work it out and not separate because of the kids. I'm satisfied because she did it, even though it was very difficult for her. I am confident about my parents' side since I was the one who opened up to them, giving them the summary of the affair, and Lisa talked to them and apologized. They accepted her apology and advised her not to do it again and that she would need to earn my trust again. They also advised not letting the children know about the affair. However, on her parents' side, I have doubts if she really shared all the necessary details of the affair with them. I was not beside her when she confessed to her parents, but was in another room. They all joined me afterward, and Lisa told me that she had already confessed to them. I was waiting for their reaction, but they chose not to talk about it. I understand that they might feel uncomfortable discussing it because it involves their daughter, but it would have been better if they did. Now I have doubts about whether she really told her parents everything, including the part about sleeping with the AP. She told me she did, and that they were shocked, and asked her why she had an affair when everything was going well between us at the time. She said she answered that she didn't know why she did it. They advised her the same thing my parents did, that we should resolve this problem for the kids. I thought things would get better after this, but I'm still unsatisfied. Though this added a huge plus toward our reconciliation, I still feel hurt and betrayed when I look at her, especially if there are triggers. I still have my pass and will use it without her knowing if needed. I also applied the true remorse test, and out of 6 conditions, she already passed 3: patience, owning her bad decision by confessing to our parents, and financial support responsibility. She is still working on convincing me of her full honesty, her initiating and actively doing her part toward reconciliation, and her overall attitude toward me and the children. If she convinces me on the remaining conditions while maintaining the first 3, then I can say she is truly remorseful. Lisa has made some additional confessions, like small details she held back during her initial disclosures about that night. The most significant change was when she confessed that the AP might have unloaded a little inside her, but was unable to unload it all because she noticed and anticipated it, kicking him off as quickly as she could. She was very mad because he really did want to finish inside her despite their agreement for him not to. She recalled she was on birth control pills at that time. She explained that she has nothing more to hide and is bringing it all out in the open. She understands that whether he finished all inside or just a little, it doesn't matter to me anymore because it hurts just the same. She is really sorry and regrets her decision that night. She really wants to be fully honest with me and will try to remember other things she might have forgotten and disclose them to me. She really wants to pass the full disclosure, full honesty condition of the true remorse test. Right now, I am still not okay. There are so many triggers and it sucks. I have no direction and don't know if our reconciliation efforts will work. I look at our kids and think about how they would handle it if we separated and just co-parented them. It breaks me to think about my children, especially my daughter, finding out. It would surely break their hearts, and they would cry because we would already be a broken family. The strain of dealing with this situation is immense. Every day feels like a struggle to maintain some semblance of normalcy for the kids while grappling with my own feelings of betrayal and mistrust. Lisa is making an effort, but I can't help but wonder if it's enough or if she's truly committed to making things right. Her additional confessions, though painful to hear, give me a sliver of hope that she might be genuinely remorseful and willing to do whatever it takes to rebuild our relationship. Despite this hope, I remain deeply conflicted. The constant reminders of her infidelity and the fear of future betrayals loom large in my mind. The emotional toll is exhausting, and I sometimes feel like I'm barely holding it together. My friends and family offer support, but ultimately the decision about our future rests with me. I want to believe that we can overcome this, but the road ahead seems long and uncertain. The kids are my anchor, the reason I haven't given up completely. Their innocence and happiness are my top priorities, and I dread the thought of how a separation would affect them. I see their smiles and laughter, and it breaks my heart to think about shattering their world. They deserve a stable and loving home, and I desperately want to provide that for them. But can I do that with a partner who has betrayed my trust so profoundly? Each day brings new challenges and decisions. I take it one step at a time, hoping that clarity will come with time. Whether we stay together or go our separate ways, I need to find a path that ensures the well-being of our children and my own peace of mind. It's a delicate balance, and I pray that whatever the outcome, it leads to healing and a better future for all of us. Update. After 2 years, am I in some kind of recovery phase, or is there no more hope for us? My wife physically and emotionally cheated 13 years ago with a coworker when we were still live-in partners with our firstborn. D-Day was almost 2 years ago. We've been together for 20 years, married for 10. The affair happened after we'd been together for 8 years. I was lied to for 10 years before she finally confessed. By the way, the AP has been deceased for 10 years now due to a motorcycle accident. Maybe that's one of the reasons I was able to deal with the situation, knowing that the guy is no longer here. I set myself a time limit for reconciliation. Our kids, now 3, are the biggest reason I chose to stay with a pass. But I didn't really use that pass. At first, I thought of giving it 3 to 5 years to see if reconciliation is successful. Lisa showed remorse and was very cooperative in reconciliation efforts. Almost 2 years since D-Day, and it's still up and down for me. Now I'm thinking of waiting for my kids to mature and leave home before I leave her. There are days I am okay, but there are also days I hate my situation a lot. For now, I no longer see myself growing old with her. No trust at all, but we still do normal husband and wife stuff. I make sure we look okay to our kids. We are intimate, but for me, it's just satisfying a normal need for intimacy. The emotional aspect is what I'm not sure about. I am thinking of using my past to get back at her, but I haven't acted on it yet. This is probably just a vent. I am not sure what to think. I still care for her, but I think my love for her has gradually diminished over time. I no longer find her attractive in any aspect. I easily get attracted to other women now, but I haven't acted on it. Any thoughts on my situation will be appreciated. Am I just running into a phase or something? I began to wonder if my feelings were just a phase or something more permanent. The weight of the betrayal had left a deep scar, and although Lisa's efforts to reconcile were evident, I couldn't shake off the doubt. The emotional toll it took on me was immense. Each time I looked at her, I couldn't help but remember the details she confessed. I started to question if I could ever truly forgive and move on. Lisa continued to be remorseful and dedicated to fixing our relationship. She agreed to all my conditions and followed through with every effort to make things right. But no matter how much she tried, the damage had been done. I felt trapped in a cycle of pain and mistrust. My heart wanted to believe her, but my mind kept replaying the betrayal. Our nightly sharing sessions helped in some ways, but they also brought out the raw pain that I tried to suppress. I found solace in the fact that Lisa was willing to confront her mistakes and work towards rebuilding our trust. However, I couldn't deny that my feelings for her had changed. The love I once had for her seemed tainted by the betrayal, and I struggled to see her in the same light. Despite my inner turmoil, we continued to attend therapy sessions, both as a couple and individually. These sessions provided a platform for us to express our feelings openly and work towards healing. Lisa's individual therapy sessions focused on addressing her underlying issues, which gave me some hope that she was genuinely trying to change. Our couple's therapy sessions were a mixed bag of progress and setbacks, but we persisted, knowing that healing would take time. Lisa VDJ/Slausim's confession to our parents was a significant step in our reconciliation journey. It showed her willingness to face the consequences of her actions and seek forgiveness from those who mattered most to us. Although I still had doubts about the completeness of her confession, her willingness to go through with it was a positive sign. It demonstrated her commitment to making amends and rebuilding our relationship. I also made a conscious effort to engage in activities that brought me joy and helped me manage stress. I spent more time with friends who supported me and took up hobbies that provided a distraction from the constant reminders of the betrayal. These activities were crucial in helping me maintain a semblance of normalcy and find moments of happiness amid the chaos. Lisa's dedication to our reconciliation efforts was undeniable. She did everything she could to prove her sincerity, from sharing her phone and social media accounts to voluntarily checking in with me throughout the day. Her actions spoke louder than words, and I appreciated her efforts, but the emotional wound was still fresh and healing was slow. The road to forgiveness remained uncertain. I understood that forgiveness was not a one-time event, but a process that required patience and perseverance. I tried to focus on the progress we had made and the potential for a healthier relationship in the future. However, the constant reminders of her infidelity and the fear of future betrayals made it difficult to fully commit to the idea of forgiveness. The decision to stay together or separate weighed heavily on my mind. My children were the primary reason I hadn't given up completely. Their innocence and happiness were my top priorities, and I dreaded the thought of how a separation would affect them. I wanted to provide a stable and loving home for them, but I questioned if I could do that with a partner who had betrayed my trust so profoundly. As time passed, I continued to grapple with my emotions. Some days were better than others, but the pain and doubt lingered. I wanted to believe that we could overcome this, but the road ahead seemed long and uncertain. The kids remained my anchor, the reason I continued to try. Their smiles and laughter reminded me of the importance of providing a stable home, and I clung to the hope that we could find a way to move forward. Despite the progress we had made, I couldn't shake off the feeling that my love for Lisa had diminished. I no longer found her attractive in any aspect, and my mind often wandered to thoughts of other women. Although I hadn't acted on these thoughts, they were a clear indication that my feelings for her had changed. I questioned if staying together was the right choice or if it was time to consider a different path. As we continued our reconciliation efforts, I remained vigilant and mindful of the past. I understood that healing would take time and that setbacks were inevitable. What mattered was our commitment to keep moving forward together. Whether we stayed together or went our separate ways, I needed to find a path that ensured the well-being of our children and my own peace of mind. In the end, the decision to give Lisa a second chance was deeply personal. It depended on our unique circumstances and the depth of our love for each other. For now, her efforts to rebuild trust and prove her sincerity were enough to keep me trying. I held on to the hope that with time and patience we could emerge from this crisis stronger and more united than ever before. As we continued our journey toward reconciliation, I realized the importance of setting clear boundaries and maintaining open communication. Lisa remained dedicated to proving her sincerity and rebuilding our relationship. We established new routines and rituals that fostered trust and transparency. From regular check-ins to sharing our daily schedules, we did everything we could to rebuild the trust that had been shattered. One of the most challenging aspects of this process was dealing with the triggers that brought back memories of the betrayal. These moments were inevitable and often caught me off guard, leaving me feeling vulnerable and hurt. However, Lisa's support during these times was crucial. She listened, reassured me, and showed genuine remorse for her actions. Her consistent efforts to be there for me, even when it was difficult, made a significant difference in my healing process. Despite the ups and downs, there were moments of genuine connection and joy that reminded me why I fell in love with Lisa in the first place. We found solace in simple activities like cooking dinner together, watching movies, and spending time with our children. These small gestures helped to rebuild the emotional bond that had been damaged. Each shared laugh and tender moment was a step toward healing. Our therapy sessions continued to be a cornerstone of our reconciliation efforts. They provided a safe space for us to express our feelings, address our fears, and work through our issues. The progress was slow but steady, and I began to see a glimmer of hope for our future together. Lisa's willingness to face her mistakes and work toward rebuilding our relationship gave me a reason to keep trying. As the months went by, I started to notice a shift in my feelings. While the pain of the betrayal still lingered, it was no longer as intense as it once was. The constant reminders of her infidelity became less frequent, and I began to focus more on the positive aspects of our relationship. Lisa's dedication to making things right and her efforts to rebuild trust gradually began to mend the rift between us. I also began to see the importance of self-care and personal growth in this process. Engaging in activities that brought me joy, spending time with supportive friends, and pursuing hobbies helped me regain a sense of normalcy and balance. These activities were vital in helping me manage the emotional turmoil and find moments of happiness amid the chaos. The decision to stay or leave was still a heavy burden, but I found solace in the progress we had made. Our children's well-being remained my top priority, and I was determined to provide them with a stable and loving home. The thought of separating and co-parenting was still painful, but I was beginning to see a path forward that included healing and reconciliation. The idea of using my past to get back at Lisa had crossed my mind several times, but I realized that it wouldn't solve anything. Revenge would only complicate matters and create more pain for everyone involved. Instead, I focused on the possibility of rebuilding our relationship and finding a way to move past the betrayal. Through our continued efforts, I began to understand that forgiveness was not about forgetting or condoning the betrayal. It was about letting go of the anger and resentment that kept me trapped in the past. Forgiveness was a choice I had to make for my own peace of mind and the well-being of my family. It was a process that required time, patience, and a commitment to healing. In the end, the journey toward reconciliation was far from over, but we were making progress. Each day brought new challenges and opportunities for growth. The road ahead was still uncertain, but I was determined to keep moving forward, one step at a time. Whether we ultimately stayed together or decided to go our separate ways, I knew that the effort we put into healing and rebuilding our relationship would not be in vain. Our nightly sharing sessions continued to be a source of strength and connection. They allowed us to reflect on our progress, address our fears, and celebrate our victories. These sessions were a testament to our commitment to each other and our determination to overcome the challenges we faced. As I looked back on the journey we had undertaken, I realized that the pain and struggle had brought us closer in unexpected ways. We had faced our darkest moments and emerged with a deeper understanding of ourselves and our relationship. While the future was still uncertain, I was hopeful that with time, patience, and continued effort, we could build a new and stronger foundation for our family. In conclusion, the path to forgiveness and reconciliation was long and arduous, but it was also filled with moments of growth, connection, and hope. Lisa's dedication to making amends, our commitment to open communication, and our willingness to face our issues head-on were key factors in our progress. As we continued to navigate the complexities of our relationship, I held on to the hope that we could emerge from this crisis stronger and more united than ever before. Whether we stayed together or went our separate ways, I knew that the journey we had undertaken would ultimately lead to healing and a better future for all of us.